Happy Friday night. My name is Liku Amadi, founder and attorney of Anasa Law Firm, where I work with coaches, consultants, and expert service providers to help them establish a solid legal foundation for business. Before I continue, I don't have any specific live topic tonight. I'm more so talking about myself, but still going to throw the disclaimer out there anyway. I'm a California licensed attorney. However, anything I say in this live is not considered legal advice. It is legal information for educational purposes only. If you need legal advice, go ahead and engage one-on-one with an attorney such as myself. So, man, I'm coming on this live feeling some type of way, and that's because somebody took my brand name. Somebody took my brand name, and it wasn't mine yet, but I was already in love with it. So, for background, for context, I'm planning on launching just another business venture, another brand in the second half of 2024, right? So, I had already come up with a name and I was like, oh my God, this is perfect. This captures the essence of what I'm trying to do. It has a story and meaning behind it, right? It's spelled the way that I want, right? I was just so in love with it. I already came up with language, that matches the story. And like, I was like, this is the one. This is the one after some brainstorming, right? This is the one. And I did all of this in my head, of course, because once I have an idea, start running with it, right? I'm sure a lot of y'all can relate. Once I have an idea, it's like go, go, go. And I was married to this idea. I was married to this brand name. And I'm like, there's no way. There's no way. It was very unique, right? It was a made up word. I made it up. I literally made up the word in my head, of course, right? And so I did my due diligence as an attorney, right? And I went to go do the search to see who else had my brand name. So it wasn't just Google. It wasn't just, social media. I did a third party search. So just the way that I do for my clients, I ran my own search report. It came back with hundreds of results, hundreds of pages. And I went through it and I'm like, ain't no way, right? Ain't no way somebody else is going to have the brand name that I want. I made it up. Again, I was married to it. I was like, this is unique for sure. What did nobody think about this for this lane of business? And lo and behold, it was in the search results. It was in the search results. And when I read those search results, I was sick about it. I was so sick about it. Like I felt it in my chest. I still feel it right now. I was just talking to my brother about it and my husband about it not too long ago. And it was still in my head, which is why I decided to come on live and just talk through it with y'all so you can actually see like what happens when you're married to an idea or you're committed to a brand name where you think it's so unique or no one else has it. And it turns out that somebody else very well has it, right? So I read that and that's how I'm feeling right now. Like I can feel it in my chest. I'm like, it was such a perfect name. It was such a perfect brand, right? And let me give you the details. So this brand that I found had the same name and it was spelled differently, like it had an extra letter in it, right? But still pronounced the same as the name that I was going to use. And let me just give y'all an example. So let's say the name is Cream, right? So my cream is spelled Cream, and their cream is spelled Creame, right? Same name, just one letter difference. And when I was talking to my brother, I told him this detail. He said, well, it's not spelled the same, so aren't you good? And I told him, no, that's not how it works. The point of, having a trademark and making sure it's protected, part of it is because the USPTO and, the larger consumer society doesn't want consumers to be confused about who they're doing business with, which is why you don't see two Nikes or two Adidas's, right? Or, two Reeboks. Like they want people to know who they're shopping with. And to have names that are similar could be potentially confusing, right? So I had to explain that to him, number one. And then number two, one of the advantages on my end, right, is that I was in a different industry than this other cream, right? So I'm doing something specific and that person is doing the same thing before a different industry, right? And so that's where the differentiator was, which is a good thing because that takes away from the confusion, right? Because if I'm over here, for example, if Cream was making journals and educational material about marketing, and the other Cream was making journals, educational material, videos about sales, they're essentially two different things, right? So you may not be confused, but the way that consumers understand marketing and sales is not always that, specific distinction. So there's some there's some confusion there, right? When people are talking about marketing and sales, and if you listen or follow or consume content or education from marketing and sales professionals, they'll certainly tell you that it's different, right? Something I had to learn when I became a business owner. But yeah, so we're doing the same thing, but it's in different lanes, right? Different lanes, but kind of related ish lanes, to the point where maybe the public doesn't know the difference. But anyway, the reason I point that out is because that means there's a chance, right? I can make an argument. And that's what I want to strategize with y'all about, how I'm thinking through it in my head, right? And funny enough, something like this actually happened to one of my clients this week, where we searched her brand and she was like, nah, this the one. This the one. I haven't started, doing my stuff yet, but I got all the plans written down and, X, Y, and Z, like this is the one. And lo and behold, we found out that it's not the one, because there were multiple brands doing the same thing that my client was doing. And now my client is taking the weekend to think through, and, we strategize. So now they're thinking through, do I want to go down this lane or this lane? So I'm going to strategize what I'm going through right now with y'all. And again, it hurts me in my chest because I was so married to the name. So these are the things that I'm thinking. Number one, either I move forward with the brand name, or number two, I don't move forward with the brand name, right? So number two, we'll start there. If I don't move forward with the brand name, that means that I have to, come up with something else to call my new business venture. I have to do a search again and see what else is out there that could be confusing or a conflict, or if somebody already owns the brand, right? I have to do all of that work. And that's not such a bad move for me, because I did this search and this research early on. I'm in a position where I can make that move without it hurting me. Right now, it's just hurting my feelings if I were to have to make that move, right? Because I was so in love with the name. However, I haven't put together like a logo, a website, any type of like, graphic or branding material. I haven't announced anything to the public, right? So I haven't done anything that would actually cost me, like expense wise, to have to retract, right? And no longer proceed with that name. So right now, the only loss again is my feelings. That's it, right? So number two, that is an option that I can take. Number one, if I move forward with the brand name, these are the things that could happen. So I can move forward with the brand name, and I already strategized in my head. I was like, I have a solid argument for this. Like I can make a solid argument, because what I anticipate is I would file the application and it would be reviewed by the USPTO, right? The United States Patent and Trademark Office, like it is. It would be assigned to an attorney over there. They would review it. They would look through their database and see if there's any other trademarks, right? One, which I've already found, that's the one that's confusing and conflicting with mine. They might bring that up and say, hey, like, y'all are kind of doing the same thing. Like, can you present an argument to show that you're not, right? How would you defend this? And I have an argument in my head that I would submit, right? Same thing even if they said it was okay, right? If it got to the point in the application process where the public can oppose your application. So specifically, if this person, and I would imagine they have some type of trademark support from their trademark attorney, where they're monitoring and seeing, like, is there any other Cream was the example I used. Is there any other Cream, coming into this lane where we got your trademark protected, right? They have the opportunity to oppose my application and submit an argument against it saying, hey, we already got this trademarked. And even though it's not the exact same thing, Liku's application or Liku's pursuit of this trademark is going to cause confusion and conflict with ours. And in fact, she's infringing on our brand, right? I have an argument for that. And in my head, I'm like, this argument is solid. This argument is solid. It would stand just based on what the rules are when it comes to trademarking. It may be considered, almost the same thing, but we're actually in stark different industries and stark different lanes with these trademarks. So I feel like I would have a really strong argument when it came to supporting, trademarking this and making sure that I'm showing that it wouldn't cause confusion or there is no overlap with the other person's trademark, right? So I feel like I have a strong argument. But the thing about that is, arguments are subjective, right? There are rules, or arguments are based on certain rules, but when someone else is reviewing them, they may not agree with you, right? If someone else opposes my application and submits an argument against me, like they may very well side with that person. They might reject my argument, right? Anything could happen. And at that point, I would have to go the option two route and start from the drawing board anyway, right? I would have to start all over, find the brand name, etc. So and the option one, where we were talking about if I was still to pursue the brand name, like that could very much happen. I think I have a strong argument, but the authorities that be may not agree with me. And one of the things here in option one that's important to consider is that number one, the trademark process is taking longer than usual, right? I filed my first trademark in 2021. 2021 when I first launched my law firm, and it wasn't approved until May 2023, right? May of this year. So it's becoming a long application process. And you can imagine in that 2 years, business can start booming. And this new business venture that I have planned, again, it's for next year, the end of 2024. It's a strong business plan. And it's already in my head that this is going to be a business that can retire my husband if he wanted to retire, right? Could retire me if I wanted to retire. Like this is my retirement plan, right? This is going to be a game changer for me and what I do and my family and generational wealth and all of that. Like those are my big plans for this business. So anyway, going back to option one, just one of the things to consider is timing, right? And in that, 1.5 or 2 years where the application process is going, I could very well, let me correct that, I will very well get to the point where I am making, multiple 6 or 7 figures in that business venture. And it'll be doing what I need it to do in order for me to, retire my husband, retire myself, put my family in a position where we're generating generational wealth, right? The thing about that is, if I lose the argument during the application process and I've already put my brand out there in the public, it's making money, it's getting notoriety and, becoming familiar with the consumers of that industry, right? Like I'm starting to have a stake there in the marketplace that is valuable. That is, an asset. That's something that I can leverage. So if it comes and my argument is rejected and I'm already a year and a half into building this brand and making it successful and everybody knowing about it. And if my argument becomes, or if my argument is rejected, or I'm called out for like trademark infringement, like that could really hurt my brand. Number one, it'll be expensive to fight against that. Right. And so that's time consuming, that's cost, that's energy, things that I don't want to deal with, honestly. Another thing is just the looking over your shoulder part. I could very well launch this to the public. And, the whole time I'm just like, I hope they don't find me. I hope they don't find me. Oh, is a cease and desist letter coming? Like, I don't want that. I don't want that looking over my shoulder. I don't want that worry. I don't want that, pit in my stomach. I don't want that, receiving a random email from another attorney talking about, you're infringing, cease and desist. Like, I don't want any of that. So just the costs, right? The multiple costs associated with continuing with the brand when I know it's going to be successful could very well be hurtful to me. Another cost to consider is just my position in the marketplace. If I was to have to rebrand, which is again also expensive from a monetary standpoint, that would impact my position in the marketplace. Now I'm no longer cream. I have to completely change to something else, right? I have to do a new like marketing strategy, probably like some new branding, right? Start fresh and whatnot. And it could take a while to bounce back from that. And that could hurt the trajectory and the goals that I had for my business, right? So that is just another lane that I'm considering. Like, yeah, I think I got a good argument, but what happens if the authorities that be don't agree with that argument? Right? I don't want to go to litigation. Like, I don't want to go to court. I don't want to deal with any cease and desist. I running a business, I've learned, is stressful enough. So if there are things that I could avoid, then I'd much rather avoid them, especially because it's so early on in this process. So again, my two options are continue with the brand name and experience a potential fight. It's very likely that a fight would come because, again, just the similarities and the potential overlap. Yeah, there's these little differences, but it may not make that big of a difference where, my argument would stand strong. It could very well not stand strong, right? So that's option one. And then option two is just, letting go of my brand name, the thing that I've been married to, my baby. My chest, it hurts me, letting go of it and starting from scratch, new brand name, new research, new story behind the brand name, new terminology around the brand. Like, I could, recreate all of that stuff. And the thing about option two, and I'm gonna tell y'all right now, like, I don't want to deal with no potential hassle. So I am going the option two route, right? And the thing about that is, because I'm early on in the process, because I haven't, created anything or invested too deeply in it, I can take two steps back where I wouldn't fall all the way backwards and just regroup, brainstorm, go back to the drawing board and come up with something else, right? And that way I can make sure, or I'm in a better position to make sure that my trademark will be approved, and then I can police other people using, similar versions of that trademark in the future. Like, I would have the value of owning that asset, right? Like, I would be the one unique in that space, in that industry with this specific name. And I want that. I want that recognition that comes with my brand. And I don't want it to be confused with another brand, right? Because down option one, even if I was to go that route of moving forward with the brand name, and even if my argument was successful, like, there still could be that potential that it'd be confused in the marketplace with regard to what people are looking for. And I don't want that. Again, like, you don't be confused about when you're looking for Nike, like, there's no confusion. There's no confusion. If you were to ever find another Nike, you'll probably look at them like, what are they doing? Right? Like, I want that. I want that for my future brand. There was another thing, another consideration that I wanted to talk to y'all about, and it's just escaping me right now, probably because I'm just super in my feelings about my brand name. My chest, it hurts. Dang, it's escaping me. Let me see if it could come back. Yeah, it's gone. It's gone. It's been a long week. It's gone. I can't. I tried to do it, y'all. I tried to do it. But yeah, going back to option two. Option two is the route that I'm gonna take, because I can still, like, it wouldn't hurt me to come up with another brand name. Like I said earlier, it's just hurting my feelings. But that's part of business, right? Is figuring out like what you can and can't do. And here, like, I can go the argument route, but another consideration is, that's not something that I want to spend my time and energy and, potential money towards. I don't want to be fighting with another brand when I'm trying to build and establish my own. It's not worth it like that to me. I'll divorce that brand name quickly. I love it, but the love is conditional over here, right? I want peace, and I want tranquility, and I want a better sense of security when I'm launching this brand. So, option two is definitely the route that I'm going to take. And again, I wanted to, said, I'm sorry. Thanks, Alicia. I just, Alicia, thank you. I appreciate it. I'll get over it in the morning. But yeah, dang, lost my train of thought. This is what happens when you're in your feelings and you just decide to go live and you're like, oh y'all, this is what happened, live reaction. But yeah, I'm gonna go the option two route. I'm still trying to remember the other thing that I wanted to tell y'all. But I might just have to come back and make it a comment. Hey Brian, hey Lara, how you doing? Everyone is asleep. I know it's late. It's 9 over here on the West Coast. I'm sure East Coast folks, you guys are probably knocked out or probably on Threads. I'm on Threads as well. So if you're on Threads, go ahead and connect with me. But yeah, I wanted to illustrate this for y'all because these are the things that happen. And now I'm remembering the other part that I wanted to tell y'all, being that imagine if I didn't do the search, right? Imagine if I didn't do the search and I did just proceed with the brand name and, thought it was all good and whatnot. It's one thing to proceed, like it's one thing to be aware of the risks. And this is why it's critically important to be able to make informed business decisions, because when you have the pros, the cons, the risks, the potentials, like you can move in a certain way and be like, okay, right? But had I moved forward with this brand name without doing this search to make sure that I could be protected and I could own it in full, then it would have been more of, I'm talking about my feelings are hurt now, right? It would have been like a shot to the chest to later find out that when my brand takes off, multiple 6, 7 figures, right? And again, this is the brand I'm planning to launch in the second part of 2024, right? So if we're talking about later in the future, where someone does come up to me with a cease and desist or claims I'm doing trademark infringement and they want to take me to court, like I'll be, again, shot to the chest, right? My feelings are hurt now, but that would be a much worse position to be in, because at that point, then I wouldn't have anticipated that this would happen. Right now, I'm in a position where if I wanted to take that risk, I'm informed. But when you're in a position like that and you're not informed as to, what could happen, what your plan of action would be if somebody did come up to you like that and start making these claims or, wanting to take you to court, God forbid, like, frustrating the trajectory of your success in your business and your brand and your space in the marketplace, like that's something that could bankrupt you, make you want to shut down your business, because as more time passes, like the fight gets even more expensive. You're more invested, like from a monetary and energy, because now it's about survival, right? At that point, it's about survival. Right now, I can regroup and make sure that I'm good. No, like I can make sure that I'm good. And even if I go the route of like, I want to fight, at least I have a plan. But going somewhere, blind, like you don't even know that you're going to fight. So you don't have a plan. You don't have a way to protect yourself. Now you're kind of just being in a reaction, a space of reaction, right? Trying to figure out what to do, and that's just not a great place to be in. So if you are out there and you're thinking about, oh, I have this new venture, this new business name, or this new podcast, or oh, this slogan is me, or oh, they call me the X, Y, and Z coach, or like whatever it is that you want to protect, that you want to trademark. I don't care if your business idea is for 2024, like me, 25, 26, like start looking into it now. Start looking into it now. If you're starting to plan for it now, if you're starting to lay the foundation and the seeds for it now, like start looking into it now. Make sure that it's something that you can use. And when you do get that security of, yes, this is available, like it looks like I can use it, then lock it in. Don't wait, lock it in, because this business space, particularly online business space, is growing by the day. And I hate to say it, but these things we be trying to trademark sometimes ain't as unique as we think they are. They're really just not. And even though they may be, like, there could still be confusion with other brands that are already out there that are trademarked, that are established. So again, if we are being responsible business owners, we need to be in a position where we can make informed, well-informed business decisions. And that means knowing all the facts, the pros, the cons, your options, and being able to move forward confident in that decision versus being blindsided. Are y'all picking up what I'm putting down? Drop a fire emoji if you're still with me live. What's up? If you're catching this on the replay, let me know. Let me know your thoughts. Have you been in this situation before? A lot of people have. Like I said, I was just, and I posted content about this too. My client is going through this now, and they also are in the same position as me. We just talked this week, and they had an idea. They haven't moved forward with it yet, but they're hurt because they were emotionally invested in this brand. So now they're sitting with the decision of, dang, what should I do? Should I move forward and risk the fight, or should I not move forward and just start from scratch? So again, you just really want to know your options, and let's not be out here stuck. Don't do the search yourself. If I had limited this to a simple Google search or Instagram, social media search, I would not have found what the conflict was, right? Or even if I just searched in the trademark database, I wouldn't have found it. It wouldn't have popped up. So please also know that if you want to do a proper search and have proper brand protection strategy, talk to an attorney, invest that few $100 or a few $1,000s in order to do that search, and have an attorney tell you, oh, you're trying to build a multi-million or billion-dollar business or whatever it is. Like, this is the starting point, and these are the risks that are associated with that based on the brand name that you want, right? Let them tell you, let them guide you, let them arm you with the information, the legal advice, the strategy in order to make that decision, so that you're not stuck later, in this space of regret or wanting to shut things down. And now that I've offloaded on y'all, I feel a lot better. Now that I've strategized with y'all and walked you through my strategy, I hope you can just understand the multiple steps that it takes. Your brand name is taken too, girl. It hurts. It hurts, don't it? It hurts. Yeah, like, the path to move forward, yeah, you're on hold. You're on hold. Now you're probably trying to find a brand name that's similar, to what you already had, or, preserves the essence and the story behind the brand that you are already building. Like, it hurts, but better now than when you take off, right? Not if, but when. Better now than when you take off. So please learn from me, y'all. I have some Starbucks, so that's gonna make me feel a lot better tonight. But like I said, I had a whole just brand story, and the word had, actually, I made it up, but it had meaning behind it and what I'm trying to do. And it was just, I was like, oh, this is so perfect. I had like 5 terms that we were gonna use. And it was all those things were going to be trademarked too. And now I have to go back to the drawing board. I got to sleep on it, see what I can come up with. But I'm not discouraged. My feelings are hurt, but I'm not discouraged because I did the right thing, and I can do the right thing because I'm an attorney. So I know. And because you're not an attorney, consult with one, because that's what experts are for. Yeah, I really didn't understand how important this was until I branded and then found out there's someone trademarking something similar. Yeah, and that's usually the thing, right? Like, it's for business, like business ownership, a lot of it comes with, just figuring stuff out as it happens, right? Because you don't always know. And I bet you, Alicia, like, the next brand that you make, like, that's going to be one of the first things, right? The next idea you have, that's going to be one of the first things that you do, right? I already know because I'm an attorney, but sometimes we have to learn by trial and error. right? My client that I was talking about, like this happened to them too, where they did get into a fight. And fortunately, they were successful, but they also came to me because they were like, I don't want to get into a fight again. Like, if I don't have to fight, I don't want to. It's not that deep, right? Like, I could come up with something else. I really don't want to, but I can if that would just put me in a better position, right? So it's okay that we don't understand. It's okay that we don't know. There's a lot of other parts in business that I'm still learning by trial and error, right? Like, I'm an expert at this, so this is my lane, but systems, marketing, sales, that's all been trial and error, but that's part of business ownership. And I think we make our mark as business owners and we survive and our businesses become successful when we learn from scenarios like this, from the data produced by our trial and error and our experiments and our consistency and our attempts. So we're gonna be all right. We are gonna be all right. Any questions? I think I'm using Restream, so I think it'd be lying to me about how many people are on, but I see, some of y'all in the comments. Thank you, Yonette, for joining from LinkedIn, Facebook. I know y'all be up. Thank you for joining. If you're just now joining, then go ahead and run this back and listen to my story, listen to how frustrated and hurt I am about this brand name, and listen to my strategy and my plan of action moving forward. I hope that I can reveal my new brand name to y'all. It'll be towards the end of next year, but still, I'm gonna work through it. I'm gonna make sure it's something that I can use. Questions? Any questions before I log out and drown my sorrows in my Starbucks? Any questions? Or if you're still here, was this helpful for y'all to listen and, talk this or watch me talk to myself, talk it through? Let me know in the comments. I don't know how many more situations we'll have like this, but if it happens to me again, I'll definitely let y'all know. I will let y'all know. Okay. I don't see nothing. So I'm gonna bid y'all a good night. Y'all will probably be on Threads. And if you are, find me because I'll be over there talking.